Hey, all Chris Mystery Cleaning Winds of the Foul Coast. So yeah, it is sunny, stinking hot. It's about 30 degrees. It's not 30 degrees, but it feels really, really warm. I'm not complaining. I am just sort of sat here in the cab, and as I look at the cab, it says it's 28 degrees, and I'm sweating like a gypsy with a mortgage. But money is money. You can't sniff at money, so we move on. So a massive thank you as usual to those that have shared and subscribed to the channel. Please continue to like, share and subscribe to the videos, and we'll get this knowledge out to where it needs to go. I've had a number of really positive interactions and conversations with subscribers, in not only in Lancashire but in London and in the Midlands. So yeah, keep it coming. I'll get a lot of crossover of conversations that I have with people on the channel, and there does seem to be some reoccurring themes. Some people want to sort of scale their business. They get to the realization that in the middle of summer they get a massive surge of work, and they almost feel like they're struggling to sort of keep up with it all. And the inevitable question for most growing and successful businesses is, at what point should you bring in help, be that employees, contractors, etc. In my humble opinion, the reason I brought out, going back to when I very first started my business, I did not ever think it would get to the point where I'd have people working for me. I had it in my mind that it would be nice, but if I'm being brutally honest with you, my ambitions were focused elsewhere. I was not focused on growing a massive business. I did not have the entrepreneurial mindset at all. I was just, Chris is doing his massive impression of a duck being graceful above the water and flapping like fuck underneath. So the thing is that's normal, okay? And anybody that tells you different is not of this earth, or is just lying through the teeth, quite frankly. So scaling. How did I go about doing it? Well, I was working 8 hours a day, and at that point then I was doing roughly 20 jobs a day, and I could not physically take on more work and meet other commitments that I had at home. So obviously I have 2 children. It is my ambition to sort of see them grow up. I'm not one of these parents that wants to wear themselves out, to work their fingers to the bone and then not see the kids grow up, sort of thing. I want to be an active father. I want to sort of see my kids grow up. I want to enjoy that, because otherwise what the hell is all this about? It's just pointless. We are not built to sort of slave away and then consume and then drop dead, much to the sort of contrary of popular belief. So I got to that point where I was being asked continuously for more and more, to do more and more jobs, more and more work, be that exterior cleaning, gutters, etc, etc, etc. It was absolutely relentless, and I spent more time sort of stressing out over how am I going to fit it all in, and that's the reality of a business owner. In the early days, you might think you'll never get busy enough to have these kind of worries. But most people that stick at it, and I'm talking to one particular subscriber, Pete, we've had a number of conversations. He was a business owner and a skip firm down in Croydon, and is now starting a business, window cleaning business. The thing is obviously he's going through that sort of painful process at the minute of trying to gather customers and trying to find the systems that work and all that sort of stuff. He's at that pain point now where it's getting customers. But I promise anyone that gets religious at sort of going out, trying to gather customers, knocking doors, giving leaflets out, being polite to people, smiling at the door, etc., having a conversation with people. This is the key for most people, is having a conversation with people, and you will naturally grow your business. And up until a point, that's fantastic, but you'll get to a point where you'll think, Jesus Christ, there is only one of me, and it's just getting it's relentless, and it just doesn't stop. And when you're at the point where you are seriously considering not taking any more work on, you are at a fork in the road. If you wish to remain a one-man band, not that there is anything wrong with that, but if you wish to remain a one-man band, then the fork in the road that you take is to say, I'm not taking any more work on until other work is freed up. And that is sensible. If you do not wish to grow a big company, if you do not wish to have the hassle of employees, if you know, etc., and you are quite happy as a one-man band, then take that fork that says, I'm not going to take any more work on until such time, you know, a massive opportunity comes my way, or you know, people sort of naturally fall off and I have gaps in the road to fill. That's perfectly logical. The fork in the road that I took was, I need to bring people in to ensure that the workload can get done. And there is no such thing as too much work. There is only not enough people. Okay, your problem isn't that you can't do all the work. The problem is that you haven't got enough people to do it all. You can't be in two places at once. The law of physics says there is one of you, okay, and splitting you down the middle gets really, really messy and achieves nothing. So, to that end, how do you sort of scale your business? Well, the way I managed to achieve it was to work my 8 hours as standard and then take on additional work for up to 2 hours in the short term. And I made myself a promise, and I made my family a promise, that I would only do this for a month and see if I could sustain that level of growth for a month. And then at the end of that month, I brought in a contractor to assist me and help spread the load out, because that additional 2 hours worth of work per day, you know, is more than enough to pay a day's wages for a single contractor for 6 hours, which is where we are at now. So that's how I managed it. But some people do it in a different way, and the other way of doing it might be to say, right, well, I've got 8 hours worth of work, I'm going to take a pay cut. You can do that if you want to. I was in the position where I didn't really feel comfortable in taking a pay cut until such time that, you know, there was proof that we were able to scale up and build and get more work and stuff like that. It was a bit of a risk for me, and it's not something I wanted to do. But each to his own. I mean, you might be in a position to sort of say, right, well, I can sacrifice 2 hours worth of income, if you like, or a certain amount of pounds. You can sacrifice that income to sort of, you know, bring someone else in and scale that way. It's completely possible. So the choice is yours. But I've had, again, many conversations involving the idea of scaling up, and a lot of reasons why people don't do it is perhaps because they're worried about the quality of work of the person they bring in, you know. So their thought process is, well, they're not gonna care about the work as much as I do. They're not going to be as good as I am on the job. Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. You know, I've worked under some great people. Army Reserve, one particular guy, Brian Southworth, is an absolutely fantastic leader. He would never ask any of his lads to do anything that he either hadn't done himself or wasn't prepared to do himself. That's a leader. So when the leader gives 100%, you can probably expect from the lads that work for you about 80%. If you're happy accepting 80% for other people, you know, I will accept that other people won't care about my business the same way that I do. For the simple reason, it's not their business. They're quite happy to turn up, do a job, do the work, you know, get their pay packet at the end of the week, you know, and then chin you off until Monday. Not a drama. I can live with that, okay, because I'm a realist. I understand that people are people, and they have their own worries, and they have their own stresses, and they have their own triggers about what upsets them or what makes them happy. And you cannot expect a person coming from outside of a business into a business to care as much about that business, your business, you know, as you do. It doesn't work like that. But, you know, training someone up to your standard and all that sort of stuff. Now, you can still be, you know, sort of particular as to the sorts of person that you take on. You know, you can, you know, train a person to a degree to match your skill or match what you do on the job. Now, this is easy for me to say because it's easier to train a young lad to do water-fed pole than it is to do blading you know, traditional on the glass. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh yeah, it's easy, you can teach anybody to clean a window. Yeah, you can teach anybody to clean a window. With water-fed pole, it's dead easy. Okay, because all he's got to do is follow a simple set of instructions. Okay, blading the glass down requires a lot more skill, and you're going to find a lot less people are wanting to sort of learn that. Okay, or have the patience or even the capacity to do it. Some people, for some reason, get in front of the window and just have mongans and just don't do it. You know, and you know, for me, I picked it up from early on, and I was quite happy with how I clean windows, and customers were happy as to how I clean windows, and I had no complaints, etc. But you have to then be able to replicate that by teaching it. So for those of you that want to scale your business, you're going to have to address a couple of issues in terms of training staff. Okay, are you going to be able to train someone to blade a window as good as you? No. You know, this problem was overcome by me because I made the decision to switch my business from traditional to water-fed pole. And a big part of the reason for doing that was because it's a damn sight easier to train someone on a water-fed pole than it is to train someone on as you know, traditional window cleaner. And again, this is not a dig at trad versus window cleaning and trad versus water-fed pole and blah blah. It's not about that. It's the simple reality of the fact is it's a damn sight easier to train on water-fed pole. You know, so for a lot of reasons. Like how, look at Pryor's window cleaning, for example, the biggest window cleaning company in the country that's not a franchise. Okay, it's all water-fed pole. Why? Because it's easy to replicate, it's easy to train, or easier to train, you know what I mean, people to do the system. Okay? And if it doesn't work out for that person, all right, no dramas, you get to the end of your probationary period and you send them off and you get someone else in and repeat the process. And as you get bigger as a company, the ease at which you can train people it gets easier because the workload can be swallowed up by a lot more people. Scaling is something where you have to really, it's more of a maths, it's almost like an evaluation of where you are as a business and sort of say to yourself, right, do we have enough money as a business to be able to justify an employee or a contractor or someone to come and help me out? Okay, if the answer is yes, you have enough money to do it, then I would recommend that you do it. If the answer is no, you need to get yourself into a position where you're able to scale, okay, and you're able to get to that position where you can say, yes, I can afford it. Not to razz on youngsters, but I find that the manual work, and this is going to be unpopular, I think, with some youngsters, and it's not the case for all of them. I want to make that abundantly clear. Okay, I have met some absolutely stonking, fantastic, you know, 17, 18, 19-year-old guys and girls that want to get stuck in and they want to earn a crust, and you know, and they don't mess around. You know what I mean? They want to get out there. They want a pay packet, but they're prepared to graft for it. But for the vast majority of people of that age group, sort of 17 to 24-year-olds, okay, the mindset, for whatever reason, is just not there. The idea of actually working for a living is just not there. So that's another thing you have to contend with. You have to, like me personally, I would look at someone who is mature enough to have a conversation with them, but not so set in their ways that they do things a set way and that's that. I don't want that. I want someone who's flexible. I want someone who can learn, someone who's prepared to take on, you know, new tasks, etc., and scale that way. But I found that by putting a simple note up on Facebook, you do get your time wasters. You do get your sort of people from sort of Nigeria messaging you, please mister, give me a job and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, I learned a lesson the hard way with that. But I think, you know, you have a network of people. When you're at that point where you're looking at the scaling, you have a network of people already around you. It just happens they give you money every single month when you clean their windows. They're customers. Speak to your customers. You know, ask them if they know of someone that wants a little bit of extra work, and is prepared to sort of learn and graft and do what you do. You know, the lad that I took on, the first guy I took on proper, I did try out one or two young lads for a day and they were useless and I got rid. those that turned up. But Steve was actually the, excuse me, I just had my lunch, bear with. Steve was the brother-in-law of one of my customers, who my wife went to school with, long story short. In other words, use the network of people already around you. You know, speak to your friends on Facebook, speak to your customers, and sort of ask the question, you know, do you know of anyone that's looking for some more work I could do with a hand? You know, reach out. You know, if you've done the groundwork and you've been nice to your customers, and you've looked after your customers, you've treated them really well, they've had no complaints about your service whatsoever, why wouldn't they, you know, help you if they can? You know, they would want to reciprocate the level of help you've given them. And this is when reciprocity comes around. This is where, well, you know, he's a good lad, he keeps it, you know, he's a good honest lad, he works hard, etc., etc. I want, you know, if he, you know, I want to help him out as best I can, and people generally will do that. And it goes back to the whole argument of positive thinking and karma and all that sort of jazz. But yeah, like I say, scaling is one of those things that people can tie themselves up in knots over. But ultimately, it's it's straightforward. It's not easy. It's straightforward because it's a skill, you know, trying to gauge people and sort of see and try them out, and sort of, you know, some people are easier to teach than others. There's no denying that. You know, and when you meet someone for the first time, you might think to yourself, well, actually, he's no chance. You know, he won't take this on, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and he might surprise you. You never know. And then on the flip side of that, you might meet someone who you think he'll be fantastic, he'll be really, really good, and he gets in front of a squeegee, and he's got you know 13 left thumbs, and he's useless. So the thing is, it's a skill like any other, and you're only ever going to know if you go for it. But just safeguard yourself where possible. Do your due diligence. You know, speak to your accountant. If you haven't got an accountant, why haven't you got an accountant? You know, speak to your accountant. Speak to you know, a solicitor if you're looking if you're looking at going down the route of employees. You will need a solicitor, etc., for the sort of legal documents and stuff like that. So just be aware of that. But yeah, you know, end of the day, your business is meant to be enjoyable. Okay. Once I got over the idea of stressing me being out, and when you're wondering where my next sort of penny was coming from, and the money started coming in, you know, you want what you do to be enjoyable. And if you have people around you making life easier and leveraging out the jobs, you know, then yeah, it does get easier. So, you know, and as it gets easier, you think to yourself, this is brilliant. You know, I can, you know, pick and choose which jobs I do. I can pick and choose the hours that I work. I can say yes to jobs that I want to do. I can say no to jobs that I don't want to do. It opens up a whole load of possibilities. So if that's what you want to look at, then do it. You know, the only regrets you're going to have on your deathbed are not going to be the things that you did in the majority of cases. It'll be, you know, you're never going to wish you cleaned another window on your deathbed. But if you grow your business to the point where you're able to sell that business, you know, the possibility, oh, honest to God, it's life-changing possibilities for anybody that can reach out for it. So yeah, bit of a long-winded video there. And again, massive thanks to those that have endured to the end. Please like, share and subscribe. And if you have any questions about this video or the contents of any other videos that I've put out, please just reach out and ask the question. The only daft question is the one that doesn't get asked. So enjoy your day, peeps. Enjoy the sun. Get some after sun on you. And I'll see you in the next video. All the very best.